Oh, I think my panelists were going to come with me. Hi, guys. Can't sit on stage on my own. So, welcome. We have Srinija and Sennay, and I'll share a little bit more about both of them. But thank you, Mar. Good morning, everyone. It's incredibly amazing to be here with you all at the Heart Summit. What a couple of days we've had. I mean, powerful, moving. And this topic that we're going to dive into now, AI, ecological belonging, and reconnection, is both urgent and rich, with layers that touch every aspect of our lives. In a time where AI and tech is accelerating and ecosystems are unraveling, this conversation invites us to a new story, one where intelligence is relational, agency is shared, and technology is rooted in care. We're not here to talk about ChatGPT or the latest apps, just so you know. We're here for something deeper, an imagination, an invitation into imagination and reimagination, into stewardship and into reconnection. So I'm joined here by two extraordinary thinkers, Srinija Srinivasan, who helps us understand AI as part of our species' moment of choice. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Sennay Ghebreab, who explores how technology can serve our deepest human capacity for listening and stewardship. Welcome. Okay, I invite you all to listen not just with your minds, but with your whole selves. This is a conversation about the future we're creating together. So Sennay, I'd love to start with you to set the stage.
Thank you for the introduction. Let me first say it's really a joy to be here again, a privilege to be here again with all of you. A lot has changed since the last summit, the Global Summit in Bilbao. As we have heard a number of times here on stage, social changes, political changes, but also technological changes. AI is permeating society, it's permeating our lives. We're all making use of AI with our mobile phones or laptops and so on. So it's deeply ingrained in our being. And yet I sense an increasing resistance against AI. A couple of days ago, I talked to someone here who said, I have an innate resistance against AI. And I understand that. It's justifiable, given that AI technology is being used for power, for profit, to suppress people. I get that. But I would also like to invite us all here and beyond to not overlook and even embrace another reality, namely the reality that AI has a potential to do good for the societies that we live in, for our planet, for our Earth. And a few days ago at the opening plenary sessions, Professor Richard Davidson quoted Nelson Mandela, who said, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of their skin, their background, or their religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can also be taught to love." And this also applies for AI, which is a making of our own. Right? AI can learn to hate, but it can also learn to love.
Thank you, Sennay, and really feels essential as we think about AI. So I want to pose this question to the both of you. What does AI look like if designed truly for human or societal flourishing? So Srinija, maybe we can start with you.
Thank you. What AI looks like is actually in right relationship to us. This is a conversation. We and AI don't exist in isolation. So what does that mean? This is indeed a species moment. We are of consequence, and that's exciting. It is up to us to choose how we relate to it. How do we show up? What are we asking of AI? What are we expecting of AI? And what are we asking of ourselves and expecting of ourselves? So just to sort of put it in its place, understand its power, but also its limitations, AI is born of digital technology. It's an exponential digital technology. And all digital technology is by definition binary, meaning it reduces to zeros or ones. That's a hard or. There's no and or. There's no room for nuance, paradox, contradiction. Now, it's remarkable how much we can do with the zeros and ones, just as it's remarkable and profoundly powerful how much we humans can do with our either-or rational mind, the either-or cognition of our intellect. We can get to the moon and back, but we in this room know that for the human being, our intellect is just one part of who we are. We have so many more ways of knowing. As Daniel Schmachtenberger says, if you're scaling towards the power of gods, you have to have the wisdom and love of gods, or you'll self-destruct. Well, wisdom and love don't come from the intellect. We're not going to outsmart AI because it's a collective intellect. It's an amalgam, a super intellect. We will always be smarter than me. But the level of the solution isn't at the level of the problem. This is where the either-or cognition of the intellect must join forces with the both-and cognition of the heart. We were made for this. We know how to hold the both-and, to hold the beautiful paradox of our existential existence that we are simultaneously emergent parts of an interdependent whole, Ubuntu, and we are each distinctly consequential. So it's time to explore, expand, and take as seriously all our other ways of knowing beyond the intellect to collaborate with the super intellect.
Thank you. Sennay, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to focus briefly on two examples that fields that take this seriously as you suggest. One is, as we've heard from Professor Richard Davidson, the field of neuroscience, which is a field that is advancing our understanding of the brain from the very complex dynamics going on within a cell to our entire mind. And this is also with help of AI. AI is being used, or it acts as a kind of a microscope that helps us decode our inner world. Another field is astrophysics, where AI has been used for quite some time to explore space, to ask questions or to answer questions like how fast is our universe expanding. In this field, AI has been used as a kind of advanced intelligent telescope, right? And there are other worlds between our inner world and the outer world, right? We have our human communities, we have the animal kingdom, we have plant life, we have oceans, all of which have their own forms of knowledge, memories, intelligence, wisdom. And much of this we don't know yet, as we have also heard across different talks on this stage in the last couple of days. But AI is now starting to help us getting to know these worlds, to connect with them, but also to learn from them.
Absolutely, and you had mention one of the apps, I think was the Merlin app, where you can listen to the birds, right? So that's one of the examples of this, seeing this different vision emerging.
There are many, many examples, but I'll give a few. One is the AI that helps decode ancient texts, like the Indus Valley scripts, allowing us to get access to our ancestral knowledge and intelligence. There are indeed AI systems developed now to decode animal communication, like, for example, the complex language of whales or elephants. Right? And based on all these tools, technologies, simple apps are now being created to decide or to determine, based on birdsong, what bird species they are. And this is only a first step, right? Bird species. Later on, you can start communicating with. Also, AI, another example is AI technologies that decode the subtle signals of plant life, right? Plant intelligence. And cities are now starting to use AI to listen to trees, to see whether they're stressed or not, so that cities can stop, for example, construction work. These are all kinds of examples that are present now and that will develop beyond what we see nowadays.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those examples. It's like AI is becoming a bridge to forms of intelligence we've almost forgotten on how to hear, right? So as we kind of think about, something we can get the audience to take away, what's one shift in perspective that you hope listeners walk away with? Something that invites them to relate to tech not as a threat or tool, but really as a partner.
Well, so we each individually have learned to decide how our heart is in relationship to our head. We don't fear our intellect, we use it in service of our highest goals, of our deepest purpose. And similarly, now on a species level, on a collective level, we are being called to bring all our ways of knowing, to cultivate love, wisdom, compassion, curiosity, humility, all of these beautiful things that come and arise out of our paradoxical wholeness, out of our both and cognition, not just the either or. So this is an awesome invitation, but also an urgent imperative to do what our wisdom traditions have exhorted us to do all along. And when we expand our other ways of knowing, when we act from a ground of wisdom, love, and compassion, that's when we can feel, sense into our interconnectedness. We can actually feel it. And from there, we can begin to relinquish the need to predict and control. We can embrace uncertainty. We can learn to become improvisers, collaborating with each other in service of life, to use the unknown as currency. Like any great jazz ensemble, everyone is needed and no one is centered. So this is an opportunity to participate by harnessing the power of AI to help us become superhuman and participate in a new way of being, one that we haven't participated in before, a collective, emergent wisdom, each giving our gifts in sacred reciprocity towards mutual flourishing for life on Earth.
Amazing. Thank you, Srinija. Sennay, over to you. What's one thing that we can shift perspective on?
Imagination. Imagine what we could achieve if we collectively design and use AI for the betterment of nature, for societies, humanities. We could finally go beyond the rigid and outdated ideas of intelligence, of knowledge, of wisdom that are currently holding us back from making progress in ecological sense, in societal sense, in human sense. And I wish to reflect on words by Ruha Benjamin, who recently wrote a book called Imagination, a Manifesto. In here she says, we must dare to envision the world we want, one where technology serves social and ecological justice and change. And in her book, Ruha Benjamin echoes Arundhati Roy's steering words. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, if I listen carefully, I can hear her breathing. And I invite you, all of us, to carefully listen to the world, the other world that AI is currently shaping.
Amazing, incredible. I mean, such a great close. Thank you, Sennay and Srinija. What you've invited us here is to reimagine, is something extraordinary, something out of the world, a future where AI doesn't diminish our humanity, but amplifies it, where technology helps us to listen more deeply, to connect more authentically, and tend the world more lovingly. A world where AI enables not just individual flourishing, but flourishing of all life, our communities, our ecosystems, and our planet. This is the future that we create together. Not a world where we're replaced. So the world is only possible, it's breathing, waiting for us to choose it. I want to say thank you for this gift of imagination and hope. Thank you both.
Thank you.